All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Beth from Key Ministry, and today I'm joined with Catherine Boyle, our Director of Mental Health Ministry at Key Ministry, and we are super excited to bring Tiffany Crow to you today. So Tiffany is a behavior specialist, and she specializes in working with children with disabilities. So we know that when we're all staying at home right now, it's a particularly challenging time for all families. And so Tiffany's going to just kind of talk through some things that I think can be super helpful for us to kind of deal with some of the challenging behaviors that we might be seeing, maybe how to prevent some meltdowns along the way. So we're going to turn it over to Tiffany. We encourage you to ask questions in the chat, in the Facebook chat, and we'll make sure to relay those to Tiffany. So welcome.
Thanks, guys. I'm excited to be here too, chatting with you guys where I can see your faces and those of you that might be at home. I know a lot of information has been coming at you from everywhere. So, and thinking about the conversations today, I thought about what were some just foundational basics. When we're talking about problem behavior, I think it's gonna pop up across the board, whether you have an individual with special needs or you have a typically developing child. So these strategies really work for everybody, right? They can work for your typically developing loved ones, your spouses, yourself, or your loved one with a disability. One of the things, kind of, I thought we could categorize this. When you look at problem behavior, the simplistic way to look at it is I can do antecedent strategies, which are things that happen before the behavior occurs. I am going to set up strategies to prevent the problem behavior from occurring. So we'll do a little bit of talking about those strategies. And then the other part is consequence strategies, which is after the behavior occurs. So we've got the behavior, it's happening. So one, how do we manage this behavior? And two, how do we potentially manage it in a way that doesn't make it increase? So I think in order, we would go with consequence strategies first. But you guys keep a watch on the time because I really want to be able to spend some time talking about those consequence strategies also. So several years ago, I read a quote, and I can't find who it's by, so unknown author. It was speaking of children with autism, and it says, "Our children do nothing very poorly." In other words, children with autism or children with disabilities need something to do, right? They are always filling their time with something. And in a time frame where we really might have nothing to do, right? It's really important that we remember that and we plan for things that they can do. When you're thinking about antecedent strategies, and Beth and Catherine, you guys interrupt me with people's questions or details or your own questions whenever, okay? When we're looking at these antecedent strategies, one, I think you should be thinking about what are things that your loved one can already do. When you look at teaching new skills, you're going to see stressors, right? So go to those skills that they are already successful at, that we would call on a maintenance level, things that they can do repetitively. They may even can do it independently, which is going to set up some relief time for you as well. And if you want to teach something new, just know that you need to have some really good motivation, and you as the instructor need to be in a really good place because there's going to potentially be some frustration there. Anytime we teach something new, we need to be ready to run into some frustrations, right? So first things first is reinforcement, right? So all of us work on schedules of reinforcement, which means the things that we do, we are rewarded for it. If we continue to do it, it's likely we're rewarded for it. We go to work. Most of us go to work because we're paid to do it. If we weren't paid, we wouldn't go. Now, some of the things that I do, I love them so much that I might continue doing them if you tell me I do a good job, because I really like praise, right? I like people's attention and their good words. So that's
You're doing a good job.
well played, Beth. Know yourself, right? If it's an easy task, you can praise me and I'm going to keep doing it. That's a natural consequence, a natural reinforcer that happens every day in our natural lives. Money is a little more contrived, right? Like I need to know how much money I'm going to make for this a little bit more difficult job, or something that I'm going to have to plan for. Our children are the same way. A lot of people call it bribery, and we could get in a long, long talk about that, right? But if you plan it ahead of time and tell them, this is what you're going to do, and this is what you're going to earn, or what would you like to earn, that is a set up plan system of reward reinforcement that's going to increase behaviors that you want to see. And it can happen in many ways. So I'm going to pause and give a small little caveat here. A lot of people know about positive reinforcement, whether it's bribing them to do it or not. I think most parents at this point are okay with bribing too, right? Let's do what we got to do to survive. So call it what you will right now, and then later when we're back to our whatever normal, you and I will have a discussion about what it's called. So one of the things that I really want to point out is that positive reinforcement is not to it won't just stop problem behavior. It is actually looking at the opposite. It's looking at increasing behaviors that you want to see occur. So what happens is when you get an individual more involved in appropriate behaviors and they're doing things you want, you're going to see problem behavior decrease. So it's not a direct approach. It's kind of a balance, right, where you're kind of working it out. So if your loved one is in a typical program in a school system, or they already have a typical routine, it's best to use whatever system that they're already used to, if you can replicate that. I'm going to show you just a few things that I made at home, because we're at home and we're only going to the grocery store, right? So I have young children, so I have to do a lot of programming to get them to do what they want. They're not used to doing school at home. So they actually organized me themselves. So my daughter made a sticker chart. They have 5 stickers that they earn throughout their school time of the day. And when they earn 5 stickers, that typically, I manage that. In my mind, they earn 5 stickers when we're pretty much finished with schoolwork, right? So I can kind of manipulate how to pace those 5 stickers out throughout the time frame. They look forward to getting the stickers. They'll ask me when we're going to get them, and I give them a difficult task. They're going to get a sticker for one task. When we're writing words in shaving cream or making shapes in shaving cream or Play-Doh, I'm going to give a couple tasks before they get a sticker, right? So the harder the task, the quicker I'm going to give one of these. And then this results in something. When you get 5 stickers, you can watch your favorite movie. You can have your favorite snack. We're into sour gumballs right now. Go for it, girl. Get your sour gumball, right? Another something, I happen to have this blackboard I got for writing notes and stuff on, but I've also done this on my bathroom mirror, or like your that's a window, a door with a window or a mirror, whatever you want to, that you can use like a vis-a-vis or a paint pen. And this just says I am working for, and as they do those tasks, you can check them off, right? I think it's best to let them know how they're getting the reward and that it's coming. One of the things that does for you is it builds information for them, the learner, throughout that time frame. It says, I know where I am in finishing. I know where I am in getting my reward. I know what's expected of me. And then it kind of builds this trust and reliability. I'm getting those stickers. I'm doing what she wants, so she's going to give me whatever. I'm going to get access to whatever I want. Get creative with that, and that is a first. Okay, good so far?
Yeah, so this is really important because a lot of families right now, routine is so important, but some of the things that are part of our everyday normal routines are suddenly not accessible to us. And so parents are going to have to be super creative in how to, like, what's being offered, what's being expected, and how to kind of communicate that with their kids.
Well, talking about creativity, I got a little creative in the closet this morning because a lot of the resources that I'm seeing put out by different programs are awesome, but a lot of them involve having a printer, having some laminate or Velcro, or as a parent, you just can't envision it outside of that, what it looks like in a therapy center or at their school. So I'm going to show you some creative ways to make some visuals, and then also do it in a way that teaches you what's called a task system. And this task system is a way to provide your child multiple tasks where you don't have to provide the instruction. They can do up to however many tasks you program independently, and then it leads to reward. Now, likely this will be something new. They may be doing it at home, or at school or in their program. It'll look a little different in your home, so you'll need to sit with them and teach them and pull out those stickers or those edibles or the praise quickly to teach them this new task. But once you spend that time up front to teach them how to work independently, it's going to give you a minute, and two, it's going to give them a feeling of accomplishment and success. So I'm going to try to scoot my computer back just a little bit to show you guys. So the way that a task system works is I'm going to have some kind of container. It can be a folder, it can be a bin. It's going to be something that can hold a task. Depending on your learner, the task is going to be more difficult or more simplistic. You want it to be a task that they already know. So do you recognize my visuals? I went and cut some product containers that had something that matched. Inside of these are tasks that my kids can do. So I'm going to have these socks separated, and in this task, they're going to roll socks. And this one, they're going to match the letter to the picture. And in this one, they're going to sort coins. Okay? Following? Now, I'm going to move these over for just a second. In these task bins, one of these images is stuck to the bin. The other one comes off with tape, okay? So when I want my loved one to work independently, what I'm going to teach them to do is go through these bins, okay? So the first, I'm going to put these in a sequence, right? Or I'm going to hand them to them, or they're going to have them laid out where they have to do them in an order. They match, and when they match, they pull that bin and do that task. Then they go to the next image, they pull that bin, do that task. Next image. By the way, these were off of boxes, so I don't even need to laminate them. They're construction like really tough already, but if you do need to laminate, right? Okay, and then same with the last one, you're gonna match. You can keep the same exact system and change known tasks throughout the day or the week. Depending on how difficult these tasks are for your loved one, it's gonna depend on how long it takes them. And that's up to your creative planning, right? And then you get to be the holder of the reward bin, right? And once they've gone through all three of these, what they're left with is whatever image you've decided is the reward. They bring it to you, match it. Hey, you've got this much time with your reward. go do. And then while they're doing that, you have time to either reset their bin, program their next task, or you're done for the day, whatever you want to do. The idea here is creating some independence, gives you a breather, gives them a breather, and they also know how that reward's coming. So this is the antecedent, right? It's before the problem behavior occurs, strategies. Same thing with just communication, giving them ways to communicate with you. So we kind of looked at some images. You can do that with items that they like to eat if you have those available. We're kind of in what I call the stink. If they don't have it available, you just don't have it available, and we're going to have to go to those consequence strategies, okay? But if you have it and they're having trouble accessing it, you teach them how. So some of the things you can do is you can find just those images, or you can take a picture of it. You can program that picture into their communication device or their iPad where they can touch it. If you have a sprocket, this is a really cool thing that prints pictures off your phone. So you use an app, take a picture of something. It could even be taking a picture of them doing a certain activity, and then you print it out, and it actually has a sticker back where you can stick that image on something. Most of us don't have the sprockets at home yet, right? But that will help. It could help organize. Same thing with where are these items. A few more ideas are objects. You could use these to make your schedules throughout the day too, if you want to. If a schedule for the day is too much because you need to be flexible, then you kind of have to go into survival mode and do what you need to do. This means I need to take a walk, right? I need to get outside. The other ones I grabbed were just some of my favorite foods, right? I can actually bring you an empty container of my favorite foods. I give that to you and it'll help communicate. One other thing that I wanted to talk about in antecedent strategies, and then I think we should move on to consequence strategies, is coping skills. And I don't mean really like coping skills with coping with COVID or the situation now. I mean coping skills about when you are mad, when you don't get your way, when you are told no, when your brother has the thing that you want, right? So I'm going to come back to that antecedent strategy, I think, when we talk about it as a part of the consequence strategy. Antecedents are things that we teach and we set up ahead of time to prevent problem behavior or prevent the likelihood. One other antecedent strategy that you could use potentially is giving them all access to something that they like or want. So if your behavior is so severe that you really are in a bind, then if it is the iPad or their coloring book or their coat hanger that they like to tap, or a specific, whatever it is that they like to have all the time, you could give them all access to that item. Then you could still ask them to do other things while they have it. You could ask them to pause it. You could actually give them the sticker chart or rewards for doing tasks while their iPad is playing on the side. If it's going to cause you that much problem behavior to take that item at this time, kind of think survival mode, okay? See where you can go from there. And then what you do is after they have a period of time where they've had access to it, you're going to just try to slowly say, okay, set this aside for just a second, brush your teeth, great, come back and do this, right? And slowly add in demands without it. Okay. Ready to do a little bit of consequence strategies? There are a few things that I wanted to talk about up front. Beth and Catherine, it always ends up that the most severe behaviors I never get to talk about because we've talked about all these other strategies first. And I think that a lot of us are going to be able to really survive, but there's some people that have always been on that borderline of my child's aggression or self-interest behavior is so severe that I might need some additional help. And this might be that time frame that they now kind of need to move to that next step and they don't know what to do. So I kind of want to talk about that first. Are you guys good with going all in first and then kind of working our way back out?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So just know that if you are a family that has to call 911 for help with your loved one because you are in physical danger and you can't get yourself to safety, or your loved one is causing such physical harm to themselves and you can't stop it, no, you're not alone. Okay, there are so many others that are doing it, and most of us are doing it quietly and alone, right? And scared, and you feel potentially like you don't know what else to do, maybe a failure. Everyone is in a difficult position right now, and there are a lot of circumstances that are out of our control. If you can rid yourself of those hard feelings, right? That guilt that you may put on yourself because there are so many things out of your control. Look at this situation and think about, am I safe? Is my loved one safe? How do I create safety? So one of the things that I think you should do as a family is say, when do we need a call for help? Pick a criteria. Don't try to determine that in the moment because there's so much going on and there is so much of your energy that is tied up in that decision making. Have a clear criteria that everyone knows. They have left the house and we cannot find them within blank amount of time. They have left the house and we can't find them within this amount of distance, right? They have injured themselves to the point of bleeding and I can't get near them. Or they are aggressing towards me continuously for more than 1 minute, 2 minutes. It depends on their size, how long you can tolerate, right? But you need to set that criteria to where you're still capable of calling for help. I found some really cool stuff on Autism Speaks, and I wanted to send people that way. They have a behavior toolkit. In the behavior toolkit, there are some pretty cool things. When you Google it, you need to put in challenging behavior toolkit PDF. And it brings up like an 80-page article, which sounds intimidating, but there is a table of content. So you can look for what you need and go there quickly. One of the reasons I bring that up now is because they have a Wanderers form, and it is there's actually a couple of them that are forms to plan for if you have a loved one who leaves the house, right? They run away. You don't know where they are. Some of them are forms to give to your neighbors, to give the neighbors information about what to do if they see their loved one. And then some of them are things to talk to your local first responders about. So that is one of the big things that I wanted to talk about. Yes, Beth?
We will include that link. We are recording this talk, and we will post this at keyministry.org, and we will include the links to the documents that you talked about.
Great. Okay.
And I just posted the information on our Facebook live stream as well.
Y'all are on it. So occasionally I get to do some trainings for first responders about just awareness, understanding, and some potential conversations about how they could approach individuals or recognize an individual has a disability. And a really interesting conversation I had once was with an EMT who said that there was a family that they went to on a basis where they knew who they were, and the loved one was very large, and they were only called in when he needed to be sedated. And then they had to manage his behavior enough to get to him to sedate him. And one of the things that I wanted to share with everybody that came for that conversation is that team of first responders wanted to know more information. They knew they were going to have to come there, and they wanted to know better how to respond to it. And they were very open to calling that family and coming over prior to problem behavior, to talk about, what do you expect as a family? What do you typically do? And so I kind of envision that as a good thing for people to do now if they're anticipating or considering they may have to call a first responder for help, is calling that department and giving them a heads up, asking who would respond if I called because of blank. Can I please speak to whoever's in the head of that department? And then I would give them information about your loved one, the things that you love about them, the things that distract them easily, the things that help them get re-engaged, what potentially they're going to be upset about when they come. And then also let them know if you're the problem or not, right? You are the caregiver. You are the person who's pushing them. And so it may be you in the environment that kind of needs to step away. And even having that conversation with the first responders and saying, hey, when you get there, if I let you know, hey, he needs a break from me for a second, and I step outside the door, here's some strategies for you guys just to monitor my loved one. I think it's going to make that feel like a lot of teamwork on both sides. Because of social distancing, there, it's going to be a phone conversation, and then maybe they'll even come by the driveway and introduce themselves, or, that's a conversation that you guys work out. But what I want you to know is they weren't bothered or put out by the idea. They actually wanted to know more so they could better help these families. So think about biting the bullet there and making some new friends. And then when you call them, you can also tell them thank you for all the work that they do, right? And how much you appreciate them. And I think it depends on, where you live, how busy those first responders are right now. And so that will kind of depend on their availability. Okay, thoughts on that? Are we ready to move on to other consequence strategies? Good. Okay. So I think we've got about 6 more minutes, you think?
You can take whatever time you need.
Okay. One of the things I think is a good idea that we talked about that kind of goes also to the antecedent strategies is something, it's a replacement behavior, right? Something I can do instead of this problem behavior. So if I am someone who pounds with my fists, and I might be pounding on an adult, or I might be pounding on a window, something that's not acceptable, you want to take that behavior and teach them another way to do it that is a step more appropriate. So you can't do what I call wishful thinking and say, I pound on people when I am mad, when I've hit my point, and I would rather them do deep breathing, or I would rather them not, right? You can't just do the jump from there, right? So you teach them to pound on something that's more appropriate, okay? Think baby steps. The end goal is count to 10, take some deep breaths, or put your hands in your pocket, which is coming, right? But that involves teaching a new skill, which takes teaching the new skill and the problem behavior going down. So take what they're already doing and give them something a little bit more appropriate. Not all the way, a little bit more. So I would envision this is I pound on the couch. I pound on a pillow. I pound on the floor. Hey, a wall would be better than the window. I hear a song in my head. So take that step, and you cannot just anticipate them to do it when you prompt them in problem behavior. And what I'm saying is I've gotten angry, I've got to my step, and I'm pounding on you. You can't just say, hey, pound on the pillow. I'm past the point of learning in this time frame. So that's where it moves to the antecedent strategy. So you as a parent think, this is behavior that they do. Here's what I would like them to do. Instead, I'm going to teach them antecedent strategy, how to do that, and I'm going to reward them for it. Okay? So when I'm not angry and we're in our learning time, potentially even, I got a pillow in here and I'm going to teach you to pound on that pillow. You pound on that pillow and I'm going to give you a sticker for it, and I'm going to praise you and I'm going to tell you, great job, you're pounding on the pillow. And then when you are in problem behavior, you have practiced this, you have experienced getting reward for it. So you're more likely to pound on the pillow when you see it. It has to be taught and it has to be rewarded. Now, the idea of rewarding someone for hitting on anything is probably controversial to some people, but I think we are teaching baby steps. We don't want to keep them pounding on the pillow forever. We would eventually like to say, okay, you're pounding on the pillow. Let's do some air, let's do some air punches, right? And then you only reward for air punches. And you do it when it's in problem behavior as well, right? Now, when they're in problem behavior and they pound on something else, you're going to praise them. But that's not when I would bring in those edibles. I would just say, nice job, you used your pillow, right? When you're teaching it, you use your high value rewards, okay? The other things that you think of are, really that I can't cover every type of aggression or behavior. You take that model and you apply it. Same for being told no, or when you want something and you can't have it. Adults, we may want to plan this for ourselves too. When we want our Mexican restaurant or we want to go shopping at Target and we can't do it, we have coping skills within ourselves. I called my sister the other day while she was in the store and I said, well, turn me around and let me shop with you, right? So I can get some shopping in. We all have needs that we're being denied right now, and we're going to be frustrated. Your kids are going to be frustrated too. So give them a way to be frustrated. It's not just you can't be frustrated. It's if you are frustrated, if you want to go somewhere and we cannot go, that is sad. You can be mad. How do you do it? I can be mad in this mad spot, and this is what mad looks like. And you demonstrate it, you model it, you reward it during that antecedent time. You can even, this was something I thought to do, is also video record them doing the appropriate behavior and let them watch themselves over and over again and make sure that the reward that they earn is in the video, so they can see themselves earning that reward. Video modeling has a lot of research, and it's really very handy. And even if you want to take this task system that I talked about and video you doing it with your plain hands from a perspective that it's the child's hands doing it, and let them watch that video if they like to watch videos, that'd be a really easy, fast way to teach them how to do the system. So then also the MAD strategies, also you can have like a MAD box or a MAD bin where you teach them how to let out some strategies. So I'm going to just throw out a couple really quick ideas. One is where to physically get out big physical movements. If I am out of control of my body, what can I do? Where can I go? And that's going to look more calisthenic, right? And moves and punches and kicks. And then if I'm still not in control of my thoughts, but my body's under control, think a more fine motor section, right? Play-Doh, sand, moving your hand through things that like those calming things. You're going to have to probably, trial and error on what's going to be your best items to do. And then when I am in control of my big movements and my fine movements, then I can talk about what's going on, or I can be ready to resume whatever needs to happen if I'm a non-speaker. I think the last thing that we should talk about is having a plan. I'm kind of known as a behavioral doomsday prepper, right? I want to be prepared for the worst case scenario. What is it going to look like so that I can manage it? And I already know what I'm going to do instead of having to problem solve in the moment. Now, sometimes there's new things that you couldn't think of and they're going to come up, right? Likely, you can use some of your other plans and strategies and try them in the stink. So I think that you should come up with a plan. If I'm in the store and I have a problem, if we're out for a walk, if we're in public, plan, and if we're at home, plan. That plan involves, what am I looking for? When that happens, what do we do? Who does it? Where do we go? That may involve we as a family yell a word, and we all help our loved one having a hard time get into a room. And that room has their things in it that are soft and they will be safe. Or that may look like we say a word and the loved ones disappear and the individual having a problem behavior stays out in the general area. How are you going to monitor their safety? What are you going to do? What could you use for protective equipment? You got pillows, you got couch cushions, you have blankets that you can kind of hold in front of you and wind hands up, right? You potentially have soccer gear, football gear, right? What can you use for protective equipment if you need to protect yourself while you're managing a situation? How do you know when it's over? So just kind of labeling those things, and maybe you already have them in place, but I am imagining that there is probably a lot of families that are seeing new behaviors or behaviors they haven't seen in a long time and their child is a different size. So just take the time to relook at it and make a plan. And then once you have a plan, it again takes out a lot of that guesswork. And it's not, what if this happens? It's going to happen. We know it's going to happen and we know what we're going to do. And when you get to that point, it just alleviates a lot of your stress. It's a part of our life. This is how we manage it. This keeps everyone safe. Let's implement this plan. So I think that's kind of what I got. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this has been so incredibly helpful. Addressing just kind of what every family is experiencing right now to some level. So
yeah, and not just special needs families either. I think there's so much application, maybe not so much with the really super aggressive behaviors, but there's just so much application with everybody's kids at home, and just taking all that thought out for the parents, just showing, okay, these are things that you can do, because I think people have all been in quarantine now long enough that, they're probably fresh out of ideas.
Yeah. Or it could be that they're kind of in a place where I'm now kind of like, okay, I can think outside of survival mode, right? Like, okay, those first 2 weeks were just kind of hazy, and now I'm able to kind of look and go, okay, we've got this routine. This is going good for us. This is not. What else can I do? Who else can I talk to about it? I think everyone's in different places, and that's okay, right? Because tomorrow we'll be in a different place.
So tell us about your fading prompt shirt.
Okay, so this is, it actually kind of goes with some of our instruction today a little bit. So prompt fading, so the word prompt is slowly fading out. It kind of has a harsh fade down here at the bottom, is just kind of a clever approach to a teaching strategy, an antecedent strategy. I'm using it with my 5-year-old right now who's learning to write letters. So when you are teaching a new skill, you're going to be at this high prompt level, right? You are helping 100%. I am moving her hand fully to do the letter. And as she gets better at it, I'm going to start releasing my hand slowly, and I'm going to stay by to come back in when she's getting close. And so that's called a prompt fade, right? As I'm slowly fading out my prompt to where I may just be verbally saying, do the bubble first, bubble then the tell, right? That's the same with any of these skills you're teaching your kids. I'm so glad you asked.
Oh, did you ask about my shirt? Oh, sorry. Let me show you. Okay, continue.
It's
sorry.
Very good.
I'm not wearing a good shirt, so okay. Sorry. Didn't get the memo.
Do draw near to the Lord, okay? When you teach this, you're going to be doing it for them. You're going to be up here at this prompt level showing them how to do it. And then you're going to move to a gesture. And then you're going to just tell them, put the cracker on, do the cracker one. And then eventually you're going to be across the room doing the laundry, and they're going to be doing it on their own. Because you're down here and your prompt fade. I always have more, but I want to say about the prompting. Your kids, all of us are in a very unique time, right? Everything's different for us. They're going to be skills that they know how to do, but they need your help with it right now. They are not going to be doing it with 100% the way that you know how to do it. You know that they know how to do it. I encourage you that the conversation of, you know how to do that, do it, is not going to help anybody right now. Believe me, I've done it already. So just because I know it doesn't mean I apply it all the time. So for a little bit, so that your kid can reach that success, earn their checks or their stickers, think about coming in with your prompts. They're going to feel your support, your patience, and then if it's a skill that they already know how to do, prompt them through it a couple times, fade your prompt out quickly, and get out of there so they can get to independence. Thanks for asking about my shirt.
Sure.
Hey, I really like your shirt too. Definitely don't like you.
So
Yeah,
this oh, go ahead. I was gonna, if you want to hear more from Tiffany, and who wouldn't, I highly recommend that you go to keyministry.org and click on our Vimeo button that's on the bottom of the page. And there is a video of Tiffany from, she was at Inclusion Fusion Live, our national conference. I think that one was from 2 years ago, but she did an incredible TED Talk, and I highly recommend that you check that out.
Thanks.
Yeah, and a couple folks in our chat were saying, you know, that they really appreciated this. You know, they were watching it. So, so awesome job, and they agreed that it applies not only to special needs kiddos, but really to all of our kiddos right now.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Again, you can see Tiffany at keyministry.org. Look for our Vimeo, and keep checking our events page, because we have a whole bunch of really cool things coming out for ministry leaders and for families as well. So, all right. Well, thank you very much, and we will see you soon.
Thanks. Bye, guys.